There is something deeply wrong with the bread on your table. For thousands of years, bread was called the staff of life. It built civilizations, fed armies, sustained families through brutal winters. But today, that same word, bread, describes something that inflames your gut, spikes your blood sugar, and leaves you hungry an hour later. In 1324, in a village outside York, England, the average peasant consumed 2 to 3 pounds of bread every single day. It was 70% of their total calories. These were hard-working men, hauling stones, ploughing fields, building cathedrals that still stand today. And they thrived on it. No diabetes epidemic, no gluten sensitivity crisis, no inflammatory bowel disease affecting 1 in every 100 people. Fast forward to today, 1 in 3 adults is pre-diabetic. Celiac disease has increased by 400% since the 1950s. Millions more suffer from what doctors vaguely call non-celiac gluten sensitivity, bloating, brain fog, joint pain, chronic fatigue. Your grandfather ate bread his whole life without a problem. So what the hell changed? The answer isn't that you're weak or that your gut is defective. The answer is that modern bread is not bread. It's an industrialized food product designed for profit, not nutrition. And the medieval peasant you've been taught to pity, he knew something about wheat that the food industry desperately wants you to forget. Before we go deeper, drop a comment and tell us, have you ever felt sick after eating bread? Bloating, fatigue, brain fog? What symptoms do you get? Let us know below, because what you're about to discover will change how you see every loaf on the shelf. Section 1. The modern failure, bread that isn't bread. Pick up a loaf of supermarket bread and read the ingredients. Enriched wheat flour, code for wheat that's been stripped of everything valuable, then injected with synthetic vitamins to meet legal minimums. High fructose corn syrup, soybean oil, mono and diglycerides, calcium propionate, azodicarbonamide, a chemical also used in yoga mats and shoe rubber. This isn't bread, it's a science experiment. Medieval bread had 3 ingredients: flour, water, salt. Sometimes a bit of leaven or yeast, that's it. But modern industrial bread needs 20 to 30 ingredients just to stay soft for 2 weeks on a shelf. And that's just the beginning. The wheat itself is fundamentally different. In 1960, a scientist named Norman Borlaug developed what he called miracle wheat, shorter stalks, higher yields, resistant to disease. He won the Nobel Prize for it. The Green Revolution, they called it. It fed millions, but there was a cost no one talked about. This new wheat, technically called semi-dwarf wheat, was bred for one thing: maximum yield per acre, not nutrition, not digestibility, yield. To achieve that, plant breeders introduced genetic changes that altered the gluten structure, increased the starch content, and ramped up compounds called lectins and phytates that interfere with nutrient absorption. Ancient wheat varieties like einkorn had 14 chromosomes. Emmer wheat had 28. Modern bread wheat has 42. That genetic complexity came with a trade-off. Modern wheat contains gluten proteins that your great-grandfather's gut never encountered. The gliadin fraction, the part responsible for most gluten reactions, is structurally different. Studies from the University of Kansas found that modern wheat triggers significantly higher immune responses than heritage varieties. Your body recognizes it as a foreign invader, and it responds with inflammation, not because you're sensitive, because the wheat has been engineered into something your digestive system doesn't recognize as food. Then there's the milling. Medieval flour was stone ground, a slow process that kept the wheat kernel intact. The bran, the germ, the endosperm, all ground together. That meant fiber, healthy fats, B vitamins, minerals like magnesium and zinc, all still present. Modern roller milling, introduced in the 1870s, strips all of that away. It removes the bran and the germ because they contain oils that go rancid, shortening shelf life. What's left is pure white endosperm, basically pure starch and a damaged protein structure. Then it's bleached with chemicals like chlorine gas or benzoyl peroxide to make it whiter. This is what's sold as enriched flour. Enriched because they have to add back a fraction of the nutrients they destroyed. But here's where it gets worse. Medieval bread was slow. After mixing flour and water, bakers let the dough rest and ferment for 12 to 24 hours, sometimes longer. This wasn't laziness, it was necessity. During that fermentation, natural yeast and bacteria broke down the starches and proteins. They pre-digested the bread for you. The gluten became easier to process. Phytic acid, which binds to minerals and blocks absorption, was neutralized. Lectins, which can damage the gut lining, were reduced. By the time that bread went into the oven, it was fundamentally transformed. Your modern supermarket loaf, mixed, risen, and baked in under 3 hours. No fermentation, no breakdown of anti-nutrients, no pre-digestion. Just raw, reactive proteins hitting your gut at full strength. The result is a food that looks like bread, smells like bread, but behaves in your body like pure sugar. The glycemic index of white bread is 75, higher than table sugar at 65. That means it spikes your blood glucose faster than a candy bar. Your pancreas dumps insulin to handle the flood. Your blood sugar crashes. You feel hungry again an hour later. Over years, this cycle leads to insulin resistance, the root cause of type 2 diabetes. Medieval bread, with its intact fiber and slow fermentation, had a much lower glycemic response. It released energy slowly. It kept you full. It didn't trigger the hormonal chaos that modern bread does every single time you eat it. Section 2. The investigation. Clues from the medieval field. To understand why medieval wheat was different, we have to go back to the fields. Medieval farmers grew what we now call landrace varieties. These were wheat strains adapted over centuries to local soil, local climate, local conditions. Einkorn, the oldest cultivated wheat, dating back 10,000 years, emmer, used by the Egyptians to build the pyramids. Spelt, favoured in medieval Germany and Switzerland. These weren't uniform. In a single field you'd see variation, some stalks taller, some shorter, some ripening earlier, some later. That diversity was insurance. If disease hit, some plants survived. If drought came, some adapted. It wasn't efficient by modern standards, but it was resilient, and it was digestible. Einkorn, for example, contains 14 chromosomes, the simplest genetic structure of any wheat. Its gluten is weak, which means it doesn't rise as dramatically as modern bread, but that weak gluten is exactly what makes it easier to digest. Studies at the University of Florence found that people with non-celiac gluten sensitivity could eat einkorn bread without symptoms. The gliadin proteins were structured differently, the immune system didn't react, and the nutritional profile was superior. Einkorn has 30% more protein than modern wheat, 4 times more beta-carotene, and significantly higher levels of lutein, an antioxidant that protects your eyes and brain. Then there's how they milled it. Medieval mills were powered by water or wind, turning massive stones that ground the grain slowly. This process generated very little heat, preserving the delicate oils in the wheat germ. Those oils contain vitamin E, omega-3 fatty acids, and phytosterols that support heart health. Modern roller mills operate at high speed and high temperatures. They destroy